We're back. The time is now.
The usual. Hello, everybody out there in the chat. Like I say, please, if you can, continue smashing the like button, subscribe, hit that bell for future content. You can support us by becoming a member if you wish to do so. 2 levels to choose from. If you've got a question for any of us in the panel, then put a Q in front of it. Like I say, tonight is literally going to be about the years gone by and all the players that put a smile on your face when you watch the Toon play, whether it be home or away. And like I say, if you do want to guarantee that question, and obviously put a super chat in, a Talk TV super chat, use the $sign, and that will obviously guarantee that message read out. And anybody that becomes a member, or any of our lovely members that gift them out there, will be highlighted and thanked as we go. We've got a little bit of a special guest appearance, I believe.
Wow.
So have you got something to start us off with here, mate?
Neither.
How's it going?
Yeah, I can hear it.
How's it going? You're taller than you look in the fucking
The arrival of the Royston.
son.
And let's, without further ado, add the man himself.
Indeed.
If I can do this.
Well, you can take yours out.
Yeah.
Let's move that one out of the way, and I can transition it across to there. And there he is. He's the king of Guildford, not the king of Qatar.
For one night only.
For one night only,
One
indeed.
night only.
Welcome, Roy. It's lovely to see you. And according to it, you were a popular man in the rag, the Toon Rag, the magazine from obviously the worldwide mags out there. Roy got himself in fame and fortune, blazing across the centre pages, talking about the Doha mags. How have you been, my mate? I haven't seen you for a long time.
I'm just busy with work, and I don't know if you heard, Arabi are second bottom of the league, even though we spent a fortune. So it doesn't matter how much money you spend if it doesn't click.
Yeah, you've still got to have the right players in the right positions, dude.
Yeah, and I'm working with the basketball team at the same time as well. So it's a killer.
Yeah, I must admit, mate, with some of the height in our team now, it's like working with the basketball team every Saturday and Sunday. We've got some big lads now, haven't we?
Yeah, I was surprised. When was my height? I thought he was like Yoda.
Yeah, Wynn's never going to be a globetrotter.
Yeah.
Oh, bless. I was going to say a quick hello to everybody in the chat before we crack on. Boki's obviously in the chat. Lynn Simpson's in there. Hells is in there as normal. I think we've lost a few from obviously the cock-up that was at the start. So welcome one and all. Like I say, I'm hoping you are all well on this Wednesday daytime. The mighty Win, as obviously, and myself have been talking about this idea for some time now. And we've had Connor come in the chat as well, again, unbeknown to either of us, because we've not really spoke to Connor, who's our roaming reporter. He has come up with a suggestion that we do the best players post takeover. So we thought what we'll marry that up with tomorrow's show, because it's going to be a little bit long-winded to get everybody's point of view on. And I've put it in the chat earlier on, so everybody in the collab had time to think and reminisce of those great glory days gone by, and some of the players that made you smile. So I am going to start with. I'm going to go last with all these because I'm going to put my team up. As you know me with my football, I've got my best 11, right? But I don't want your best 11. I just want players that we identify within their role. So we're going to start with Win, and I want you to tell me, Win, who your best manager, or in today's terminology, coach, you've ever seen, you've ever watched.
I'll stick with manager.
Go with manager.
Yeah, and the best manager in my 60-odd years watching the Toon is, without doubt, Eddie Howe. No danger at all. despite Joe Harvey winning the European competition, getting through the back door and all that. So he's punching on the door, as is, of course, KK, for the entertainers and the spell and the joy and everything that brought us at the time. But for me, for what Eddie's done in 4 years since he came is truly, truly remarkable. Including, of course, winning our first domestic trophy for 70 years. And 2 top 4 finishes out of 4. Would have been 3 European finishes had it not been for a couple of freak results. And with his hands tied behind his back against the clubs without those PSR handcuffs on, I just think you can't fault the kid. I love him. Love him to bits.
Yeah, it's a damn good shout, mate, if I'm honest with you. A damn good shout. Tim, coach or manager, the best you've ever seen, mate?
It is hard to argue against that, really. Like, for me, it's between Eddie and Keegan. And, obviously, you can't not have a massive soft spot for Keegan for what he did for the club. I mean, when I was supporting Newcastle growing up, I kind of missed what Keegan did in like the early 90s in how he and John Hall saved the club, really. And I remember watching the VHS tapes of the season reviews and catching up that way as I was growing up. But even though I wasn't immersed completely, it was on the back end of kind of Keegan's years. And even after he left, just like I say, catching up with the history, he was etched into my mind in regards to sort of what symbolizes a manager that gives you hope and that gives you passion and gives you an entertaining team. So it is hard to sway away from Keegan, even though obviously he didn't quite get over the line to get the silverware. So it's really close. But in terms of the best manager, it probably has to be Howe, really. It's close. It's between them two. Do you know what I mean? It's very hard.
Hold on. Listen, this isn't like who's the best manager that you've ever seen. It's not about who's got the silverware or who has been the manager that's taken the team to a level that you never anticipated being. Somebody who really excited you during the times that you've watched them. It's not about silverware. It's not about anything else. It's just literally about the person who who's blown your frock up, in my terminology. Somebody who's really it's been a pleasure to watch. That's all we're looking at. Not who you think should win it. It's who you think should win it.
Well, to be my favourite manager, right, is probably Keegan. If I just say a name straight away, I'd just say Keegan.
He's got to be down there, hasn't he? With that 90s team.
And when he came back as well, like in 2008, that is one of the most devastating times as a Newcastle fan to see that end the way it did with Mike Ashley and Dennis Wise and everything that went on there. Like that was, I was so buzzing when he was reappointed in 2008, and not that I thought
bringing on back the good times. Well, that's what we're all singing at the time.
And not necessarily winning the league, obviously, because the landscape in football had changed then. But I just thought, you know what, we've got Keegan back, and we're going to be pushing again, at least maybe for like top 6 or just a European spot in a cup run. And if he's backed, then we're going to have some exciting times, and the connection's going to be there again. So, and I think it would have been like if we didn't have that interference with how Mike Ashley ran the club, then I've got no doubt that we would have had some really good years. And to have that taken away was absolutely just so good. So I just wish that he'd had that ending with us, even if it was a few seasons finishing like, 8th and 6th and getting a cup, and then having like walking off in the sunset. You know what I mean? That would have been perfect. But yeah, Eddie and Keegan are the two, but I'll just plumb for Keegan if I have to plumb for one.
Excellent. Boki, give us your thoughts then, my friend.
For me, it's Keegan. I don't think there's going to be any surprise there. He made me fall in love with football. You know that team in the 90s, just it was a magical time. It was something that we hadn't seen, but I'd never seen in my lifetime, and I'm guessing most Newcastle fans hadn't seen for a long time before he got in place. He just the whole area just felt magical over that period for me. And to be fair, I know I was a teenager at the time, and it's probably when you do form your opinions on football fully. But it's Keegan for me. I can't argue with Howe. I thought Howe was a brilliant manager. I think Howe did brilliant in regards to winning the cup, and he's a good manager. I mean, I've got disagreements with him, but just for simply making you fall in love with the game, it was the passion from Keegan. Even though he wasn't a Geordie, he just got the area, and he got the whole population. And I think basically if he was the Pied Piper, if he'd marched all down to the river, would have happily jumped in for him. And I don't think there's ever been a manager here since that has had that same connection with the fans.
So you don't think Eddie has?
No.
Interesting. Right there. So that's 2 for Kevin Keegan and 1 for Eddie Howe. Roy, who was yours, dude?
Oh, well, before the takeover, I was between Bobby Robson and Keegan, and it was a bit like you could say 49 Bobby Robson and 51 Keegan. But I think, I hate to say it, but I think Eddie Howe's blown them both away with 4 years. Well, imagine 4 years yesterday. 4 years yesterday, we were 19th in the league.
Yeah.
And we've been to 2 Champions Leagues and won a cup in 4 years.
In 4 years.
So you
must bear in mind, by the way, with Keegan, if we'd had the championship, the UCL qualification that we had now, Keegan would have been in twice. You know, we finished
As
third,
well,
sixth, second.
Yeah, he would have been
the second was with Dalglish, of course, but
so you would have had
but Keegan would have finished third, sixth, and second, as opposed to fourth, seventh, and fifth. So in that respect, Keegan would have had 2 Champions League and another European, which we had. Yeah. We had the 3 in the UEFA.
Yeah, so I would have to give it to Eddie.
Excellent. Well, you know, it's really weird because that's 2 for Keegan, 2 for Eddie, and Chris has gone for Eddie or Pardew. He hasn't given me any rationale behind.
He wasn't alive when Keegan was the coach.
Eddie Howe or Pardew was the ones that he
well, we did stipulate within your lifetime, so
yeah, exactly.
Within your football watching lifetime.
That's right. Well, your support. Yeah. I think that makes it easier rather than lifetime. Well, I've gone with somebody totally different, which doesn't surprise anybody, I suppose, because I've gone with Sir Bobby. For me, I know it sounds really weird, but for me, Sir Bobby was the type of player, the type of manager that, you know, I'm like yourself. I mean, I've put Kevin Keegan down, I've put Eddie Howe down, I've even put Rafa Benitez down, because you have to look at what each and every one have done. And for me, you know, when I look at the late 90s, early 2000s, Newcastle transformed, you know, promoting attacking culture football. Several high Premier League finishes, 4th, 3rd, 5th, qualified for Europe, Champions League. He was absolutely adored by the fans, and then seemed to be, obviously he lost his identity to a degree. We had so many high expectations, and then obviously ended quite dramatically. And as you guys have talked about with Keegan and Eddie Howe, I'm not going to go over what you guys have said because you're absolutely bang on. And I found this really hard to choose from. But I threw in Rafa Benitez, because obviously 2016 to 2019 was a really difficult time for any manager stroke coach to come into the fold. And I always thought that he achieved well on a virtually a shoestring budget, because he stabilised the club. He got good results even under difficult financial pressures, achieved top half finishes, good European performances. He was respected tactically, and the only thing that really let him down was his man management of some of the players. He just didn't really see eye to eye with some of the players. So he, unfortunately, even though I thought he did absolutely fantastic during his realm with what he'd got to work with, because of that man management side of things, it takes him out the pecking order. But for me, one of the exciting times, and I got the exciting times from Kev Keegan. I've had and still am having the exciting times with Eddie Howe. But for some unknown reason, because of my love for Sir Bobby during his time and the way he conducted himself on TV, to the press, about everybody, Eddie Howe gives me Sir Bobby vibes, as daft as it looks. He's very good talking about everything without giving too much away. And Sir Bobby was exactly the same. So for me, because we're only 4 years into Sir Bobby, Eddie, I'm hoping in another 4 years, Eddie surpasses every single person on this list for me. And I'm sure he will do, because I'm sure with you guys, he's already there. So I've gone a little bit different, and I've put Sir Bobby, and I'm just going to throw it across because you can see my form there, and I shall update it as we go on, just so we get some idea of where we're at. Because, like I say, there's lots of players with lots of thoughts. So, everybody in the chat, please, like I say, give us some idea. And this hasn't got to be about people that won things. It's about everybody that made you happy at the time you were watching them as a child, or literally went through, a certain period of your time that you can remember that made you smile every time you was down there. Tony T, Bobby Robson, the guy of the best one-liners. Absolutely. Go on,
ask you a question on Bobby Robson. Are you basing that solely on his time at Newcastle, or are you basing it on his time as being a manager?
Well, everything. Like I said, I had the pleasure of meeting him, if you like, very briefly when he was at Ipswich. Me and my granddad, like I said, I've told many a story about me and my granddad going to many away game. And we never always used to watch Newcastle. It used to be whoever we picked out of the hat. So we went down to Ipswich when Bobby Robson was down there, and he was walking around the ground, and I held my hand out, and my granddad had 5 minutes chat with him, and he was a pleasure to talk to. He was just a gentleman. So yeah, you're probably right. I have probably got a little bit of bias about what he did at Ipswich as a manager. And then goes to Barcelona, what he does at Barcelona as well. He's got a lot of grit about him. But again, he's still, even though he was under a hell of a lot of pressure, he seemed to always have that easy-go-lucky demeanour, and he never showed it. And obviously when he was at England, as England manager, I thought he was amazing, really. And it's a shame we just didn't or couldn't get over the line with that team that he had, because it was a hell of a team that he had as a manager of England.
I just say, Gary, I think gentleman is like the perfect word for Bobby, and obviously he needs to be mentioned in this conversation, and he's very much in my mind in regards to kind of being a young Newcastle supporter. So I think he should always be remembered for what he brought to the club, because obviously when Hullet was there and he left, we were like, second bottom, and it was like we might be relegated here. And he got that group of players, that same group of players.
I'm going to say it was the same team, virtually.
Exactly. And that squad was then in the Champions League 2 years later.
Yeah. He did exactly that's what I said. There's a lot that mirrors Eddie Howe for me.
I totally agree. That's what was my point. I agree. It is very much like a young Sir Bobby in many ways, I think, with Eddie. I just think, unfortunately, what let Bobby down in the end was, I just think he became a little bit too sort of soft and fixated with some of the young players coming out and developing.
I'm going to say,
and die. And I think if he'd just been a bit more ruthless, to say, okay, you've had your chance, now we need new blood in this position, that position. I think, and like you say, expectations were really high then.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and he paid the price in that way. And I think it is a regret that I think he should have had a better send off than what he had, because even though we didn't quite get over the line like we wanted, he still got us right up there from where we were. So,
but that's why I shouted out even like Rafa.
Yeah, we've got Michael Mixie and Keegan for me, just his charisma. And what about Joe Harvey? Well, I did mention Joe Harvey.
Yeah, you can't not. But unfortunately, it was before my time, really.
He's right up there. Rebecca saying Eddie for me, with a special mention for KK and Sir Bobby.
Yeah.
And Lee Maggs is saying Sir Bobby and Eddie.
Yeah. Can I say something a little bit controversial here?
You can.
I wouldn't bring Sir Bobby into the conversation as a Newcastle manager with Keegan and Howe. Bobby was great, was brilliant bloke, great manager, but for Newcastle, he did a good job, but I don't think he's in the same brackets as them two.
Again, that is an opinion that you hold, and like I said, for me, going off what Tim has just said, when you've got Hullet who was put us in a relegation situation, Sir Bobby in 2 seasons took that same side into Europe, and you're like, well, he can't be a bad manager, he can't be a bad coach, and that's what I said. So for me, that was a highlight for me, and like I said, we'd gone on that crest of a wave with KK in the mid 90s to the towards the end of the 90s, and then it all went Pete Tong for Newcastle, so everybody was on a downer. And then obviously we'd got that rise again when Sir Bobby come back in. And like I said, you've got to, for me, you've got to look at both sides of the coin, because where Kevin Keegan had a little bit of cash to spend, you've got to look at where, Sir Bobby was in that form. He was like still reliant on players that hadn't quite clicked.
He spent a few bob as well,
He did spend some money. Yeah, he did spend some money. I'm not saying he didn't spend a lot of money, but I'm saying the same players, as Tim said, were virtually relegated under different management. So I just look at it from there. There was two managers in that time where I really got involved in Newcastle and was going to most games. Well, I just loved it. I just loved it under Bobby. But like I said, I've probably got a little bit of bias because how he was with my granddad, at Ipswich, because he was absolutely hand on heart such a gentleman. And like I say, he autographed whatever you put towards him, and he always seemed to have time for you. And not a lot of managers back then did. I'd imagine trying to get a word with Cloughie, because Cloughie was one of my favourite all-time managers and still is to today, even though I'm not a Forest fan. But some of the stuff that he come out with and some of the stories you hear of Cloughie, I would have loved to have sat in a room with Cloughie and have a conversation.
I might not be the best manager in the world, but I'm in the top one.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, another one that we hadn't mentioned, Glenn Roeder. Did a decent job for us at the time. Stan Seymour was well before my time. Mick, bloody hell. But you're absolutely right. I think Tanguy Vivid there saying Glenn Roeder needs a mention. Under the circumstances that he was on, I thought he did okay, and that's why I mentioned Rafa. I think he a honourable mention.
I just quickly say, sorry, say Rafa. I totally agree as well. I've got a soft spot for him in that. When he came in, it was under Ashley, and he was one of the managers, or the first manager to come along to actually call out Ashley in terms of like, I was promised this, and now I'm not getting it. Obviously, after Keegan anyway.
Yeah.
And he also, apparently, the story is he sounded out investment, and he sounded out Amanda Staveley. I don't know what capacity he was involved in. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how true it is, but apparently he had a hand in getting Amanda Staveley along to the Liverpool game. So if it wasn't for Rafa, maybe, do you know what I mean, might not have been took over.
Well, wasn't it because it was 2017, if memory serves me right, where she was obviously looking to buy a club, which was right at the end of Rafa's tenure, wasn't it? Because didn't he leave in 2016, Rafa?
No, it was later on. So like
in the summer of
19, he was in the crowd when we got promoted from the championship.
Was it 19?
That was
Yeah,
that was
he left in
18
June 19.
So was it
Yeah.
2016 when he come on board? I know I've got
No.
2016 in my
Yeah,
head
yeah.
somewhere.
He came
Yes.
in Feb or March 16.
Yes.
We got
Yeah,
relegated
yeah.
a few months later.
Exactly. I knew I'd got 2016 in my head for a reason.
Aye.
I think what was Rafa out is he got
brought us back
relegated.
up, and Ashley said,
Ashley's-
any money we make you can have, and we made 69 million that season. Not only did he not get the 69 million, but he sold Sessignon to Spurs.
Cisco and Wijnaldum.
Sissoko, man.
Sissoko,
and Wijnaldum.
And Wijnaldum and all, didn't he?
Yeah, Choppy's just put in the chat there, Chrissy Houghton. What was your thoughts on Chrissy Houghton? Because I thought he did a good job. It was okay, wasn't it?
You can't really critique anybody who worked for Ashley, can you? Because where Eddie's been fighting with one hand tied behind his back, they were fighting with two hands tied behind their backs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Different beast. Different
What
beast.
about
Absolutely.
the best manager in the world who's only won one game?
The best manager in the world, what?
We had one manager who called himself the best manager.
Oh,
in the
the
world.
best coach in the world,
best
John
coach.
Carver.
In the world.
Yeah.
Aye, John
Yeah,
Carver.
Mr. Carver. Oh, bless you.
Played 1-1-1.
Yeah.
But it's 100% win,
No,
mate.
I think he had almost 20 odd games, and he only won in the second half of the season. He only won the last game against West Ham.
Going on to goalkeepers then. Who has been your favourite goalkeeper that you've seen during your lifetime?
I think this will be pretty universal. It's going to be Shea Given, without a doubt. And the only honourable mention here is, God rest his soul, Ian McFall, who passed either this week or
the weekend, wasn't it?
Very recently.
Yeah.
It must have been last week because it was before the match, which was a disgrace that there wasn't a minute's applause or silence for him, I thought.
Yeah.
But that's another story altogether. The same as John Tudor and Wyn Davies before him just seem to be forgotten. That's a Fairs Cup team. That's another two of the Fairs Cup team bit the dust without any recognition at all from the club, other than a brief posting on the website or whatever. So, to be fair, they did wear the armbands on Sunday, even though they were that small that I didn't realise they were wearing them. That narrow.
They were.
But yeah, it's got to be Shea Given. He was just quality, and he's the third most appearances for any Newcastle player. But as I say, Willie McFall, Fairs Cup, last trophy before Shea Given. And I'll never forget the penalty save at Ibrox in the semi-final of the Fairs Cup. I was up there for that one, and just the ructions that caused eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. Has anybody got anything different, Tim?
I would, to be honest, I think Given was a tad overrated. And I think he's a really good keeper. He was a really good keeper, but I'm not sure if he was the best. I actually think that Tim Krul and even Pope might be better.
Even Dubravka for me as well.
I was going to say, there's going to be a couple of these names that get overlapped tomorrow's show when we look at the guys that have
if
come
we're
in
talking about joy, by
takeover.
the way, and thing, I would go for Pav.
Yeah, Pavel Srnicek.
He was great as well.
He was a hell of a goal,
Yeah, rest in peace, another one.
Yeah, same with
Rest
Sweet.
in peace, indeed.
He spent more time outside the box sometimes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I'm
right.
gonna
Proper
say.
sweeper keeper Pav was.
He was a nutter.
Trailblazer.
It was nuts.
Was it him? Because you hear all these stories, and I've got one actually coming up about Malik Chow actually, about obviously living in the northeast, and yet a lot of these players of the past, and Pavel was one of them, wasn't he? Was quite privy of going out and having a beer in the Newmarket and stuff like that.
Oh, well, they
post-match.
all did then.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that, like I say, they all did. Yeah, exactly. I know I've read a couple of stories of people seeing Cernacek actually in the bar celebrating with the fans, which again, something you don't see at all these days.
Well, the whole
funny.
squad used to go out then, man, on a Tuesday night. They were out literally all night.
Yeah. So you go with Krull then, Tim?
Yeah.
Yeah, Krull. Boki, anything different for yourself?
It's given for me. I think the only other keeper that I would mention as a keeper of note, Mark Gillespie. He's just it's given for me. It's given for me. If there was another keeper I was going to mention, it would be Harper. He never really let me down.
Well, you see, the thing was with Harper, I think if Harper had left and joined another club, then
he would have been number one.
He would have played for England.
Yeah,
I think. That's how good Harper was. But sadly, he didn't, and he was happy to be on the bench.
On the bench, yeah, absolutely. I mean, how long was he at the club? He was at the club, was it 10, 20 years?
20 odd years. No, I think it's about 20 years.
20 years? Yeah, he was there for a while, wasn't he? But like I say, again, very similar to Gillespie. You just never saw.
I think he let himself down signing for. Did he sign for Sunderland towards the end of his career for a little while?
I think he did. Yeah,
I couldn't tell you that.
I would say I think he did.
I think maybe he worked in the academy as well, or he became.
Connor,
well,
there's
he's still there
sorry
now,
for
isn't he?
Harper.
Well, given it was the other way around, wasn't it? Given played for Sunderland first, he was on loan to them.
On loan.
His career.
That's right. Yeah.
Rob Perez.
Yeah.
Well,
No, thank you.
Pavel was a Geordie. Yeah, that was a big song of the day.
Pavel is a Geordie.
Geordie.
Pavel is a Geordie. La 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 la.
Who was yours then, Roy?
this is the hardest
Mick
one.
Mahoney super goalie la 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 la. Mick Mahoney super goalie la 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 la.
Yeah, I think this is the hardest position because I can some of these games I remember Tim Krul had 17 saves once against Spurs.
Yeah.
And Dubravka's first game against Man U and man of the match, and Pope as well.
Dubravka against Liverpool just 2 seasons ago.
And that 0-0, I think, wasn't it? Yeah, I think.
No, I think we got beat, but it could have been 10-0 if it hadn't been for Dubravka.
Before takeover, was it? I think it's before.
No, I think it was after the takeover. Pope was injured, I think, and Dubravka stood in.
No.
And it was just amazing.
Yeah, so tell you what, if I'm a coach and you give me all these keepers in their prime and I have to pick one, fucking hell, I don't know. It's between Krul and Dubravka for me.
Okay, interesting.
Tim Krul in the World Cup 2014.
Yeah.
It was against Mexico. Coach brings him on just for a minute before the penalties. Saves it and comes out. I don't think we've had another keeper that caliber up there in the quarterfinals. Quarterfinal, I think. Yeah, quarterfinal of the World Cup. Yeah, I'll go Krul as well, just like Tim.
You've gone Krul, yeah.
I'll go Krul.
To be fair, my list is very similar to you guys. Shay Given, long, consistent service, excellent shot stopper, many clean sheets, seen by many fans and media as the benchmark for goalkeeper for Newcastle over the last 30 years. Harper, loyal servant, many years backing up and stepping in, remembered for big saves and reliability when called upon. Pavel Cernacek, popular with fans, strengths in bravery, shot stopping, memorable performances, part of some good Newcastle sides. Tim Krul, when fit, was very good, especially strong in big matches, had periods of in excellent form. And obviously, you just said Dubravka and Pope, solid in recent seasons, good clean sheets, helps the team in the trying times, if you like, with Dubravka especially. So
I
I
tell
have
you what,
gone-
Gary, unless we're going to be on till 2 o'clock in the morning, we're going to have to speed these up because so far we've only done the manager and the keeper and
Yeah,
been on 40 minutes.
That's okay. That's okay. We did spend 10 minutes waffling, didn't we? Like I said, this is going to be one of them just to, just go over it. It'll happen. So yeah, I've gone with Shay Given. Right then, the next one is captain. Win. Go with it.
Captain.
Who was the best ever captain you've had at the club?
Kilcline for me. When he came in, when Keegan first took over, it's a big toss up between him and Trips, because Trips did exactly the same when he came in. He seemed to take a dressing room by the scruff of the neck and give it a good shake and say, "This is what we're about now." And when Keegan often says, I think that the Killer was his best signing, and I'm inclined to agree with him, because I don't think we could have went on to that entertainers period if it hadn't been for the start of it in promotion season, when he signed Killer and Venison for Coppers, and he just galvanised. It was completely different from the first day he started playing. You could see a difference in the work rate, the application, everything about the team. So but again, I'm struggling because I think Trips has just been magnificent. One of the best signings we've ever made. It's between the two. I couldn't put a cigarette paper between the two of them, but it's either Killer or Trips.
Tim?
I'm going to say Lascelles. And the reason I say Lascelles is there was a time when, before we got relegated, there was a story that apparently we had all these characters in the dressing room, and we had these players who were going through the motions. And there was no leaders there because of the transfer policy as well, of getting youngsters in all the time. And Lascelles was one of those youngsters, but there's a story that at half time, when we were losing against Norwich or somebody like that, he went in the dressing room as a kind of nobody really, and started kicking off, calling players out, saying, you don't care, we need to bang our heads together here and do something about this. And from that point onwards, we got relegated, but he was made captain. And then from then, his leadership during those rocky times under Ashley, when anybody could have went under, along with Rafa obviously steering the ship, I just think he kept everyone honest. And you could see his leadership skills. He was on it, and he was on with everyone. And if it wasn't for him, well, he played a big part anyway, along with the likes of Rafa and others, to kind of transition from where we were and keep us afloat to then the takeover happening. So I'll say Lascelles.
Interesting. Boki?
Was that me? For me, I'm going to give it to Colaccini. Thought he was good captain for a good few years. Not the best footballing times forward a lot of the time, but he was just but he did keep the ship on the road a lot of the time. I would give an honourable note to Rob Lee as well. I know a lot of people forget he was captain, but he did captain for quite a while, and it was over the period that Keegan was there. And I think he just deserves a little bit of a mention as well. But for me, the person I would choose would be Colaccini.
Yeah, good shout. Roy?
Oh, there's loads. Even Bruno. When he first had that armband, and everyone was said, "Oh no, he hasn't got the personality. He's quiet. He doesn't talk. Doesn't even speak that good English." But we won the cup, and he's the captain as well. Colaccini, it was great days then when he was there. I can't pick Shearer as well for a bit.
Yeah,
there's loads. Shearer always winding up the Man U captain, which was Roy Keane.
Roy Keane, I'm going to say. They were always fisticuffs them too, wouldn't they?
Yeah, loads. I'll give it to. I'm gonna have to give it to Bruno, because when we got the cup, Bruno told Trippier to come next to him, and then they both whispered to each other, and then they brought in Lascelles.
Lascelles,
And you
yeah,
could
it was
see
a
all
good
three
moment.
of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
good moment.
any of those three you would do. So I'll just give it to Bruno for this.
I'm just going to add Chris's because I forgot Chris had. I spoke to him quite late about the keeper. He said Given as well for the keeper, and he said Colaccini as captain. I'm going to go back to yesteryear, if I'm honest with you, because during my first ever time and moments as a Newcastle fan, if you like, 71. I remember going and seeing this lad play in a black and white shirt. And he was Bobby Moncur. Obviously, they just won the Fairs Cup. And my granddad, like I say, he was a massive Super Mac fan. But what he told me about this lad, and he made me watch Bob organise and orchestrate the back line, because obviously it was very much a 4-4-2 back then. And I really, for me, I haven't seen a captain actually work the back line as good as Bobby did as a captain, if you like. I mean, you can say legacy, trophy side, captain when Newcastle last won the Fairs Cup. But it was his leadership for me when it mattered. And he scored in big games. I mean, that was another thing. And he led by example. So, you've just said that about Bruno. Bobby Moncur was exactly that, And like I say, you guys have all mentioned really good players alongside him, Shearer, Colaccini's. They've all got great credentials. But Moncur's captaincy corresponds with the real silverware in my eyes, which gives him just that little bit of status. But like I said, I can't take it away from any other player, and that's why I've put Bob in this side. One, because of his organisation skills, because like I say, back then there was as much as you could, he was a good player, Bob. He was also a damn good talker to players in and around him. So for me, Bob Moncur gets the shout. I thought he was he was head and shoulders. Right then, the next one, which is going to probably hurt you guys, because you've talked about a lot of these. Who's your best centre half then? Who's your best centre back? Because you've had Colaccini as your captain, so who's going to be your best ever centre back? Your knight in shining armour, the blocker. I know who he's going to pick. He's from Blythe.
No, surprisingly, I'm not.
I'm joking. Go on then, Dwayne.
But he's up there with an honourable mention, certainly. Jonathan Woodgate for me, head and shoulders. Yeah. He wasn't with us long, but by God, every game he played, he was just, you talk about Rolls Royce and all that. He was Rolls Royce, Lamborghini, and Jaguar all rolled into one.
Yeah,
he just read the game brilliantly, intercepted everything. He looked as though he wasn't working, but his brain was doing the work, and very, very little got past him.
Yeah, good shout that, to be fair. I mean, it's just a shame that he wasn't fit enough for me. He was a great player when he was.
So, and bear in mind when we had 7 million quid on him and all. We paid a lot of money for him at the time, 9 million, but we got 16 for him from Real Madrid. And Real Madrid don't buy donkeys.
No. I think there's a couple of players for me that shone through those golden years under KK and alike. Tim, who's your best centre back, mate?
I would have to say Woodgate as well. And there was a moment when we signed Woodgate and he made his debut against Chelsea. And everyone was like, okay, let's see what he's got. We know he's good. Let's hopefully he settles in. And about 3 minutes in the game, Chelsea played a ball forward. It was Jesper Gronkjar. I don't know if you remember him. Yeah. He's a really speedy winger. And so the ball goes down the side. You think, we're in trouble here. And then Woodgate, just like out of nowhere, just comes straight across and shuts it off. And 3 minutes in, you realise we have got a top-class centre-half here. So that sticks in my mind. And I just think he was the best and has been the best that we've had, even though, like you say, it's a shame about his injuries. So honourable mentions, I think, to Dabizas. I really liked Dabizas back in the day.
Yeah.
Obviously, Kolo. And Cher as well. His longevity I think has been top class.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, Woodgate for me as well. We've discussed him before. He was a class above anything else we've ever had. The only other honourable mention for me would be Philip Albert. I thought he was
Yep.
a brilliant centre back for us. He didn't always play as a centre back. He was sometimes too far up the pitch, but he was a really good defender. But Woodgate's a class above anything that we have. For somebody to make Titus Bramble look like a good defender, I think he wins it just on that for me.
Well, that's a really interesting look at it, I suppose. That went straight over my head until I thought about it, and then it clicked. Roy, who's your best?
Full house, Woodgate as well.
Excellent.
I mean, if he didn't get all those injuries anyway, even with the Real Madrid, he would have been probably played for England in 2004, 2008 World Cups as well. Euros, I mean, and 2006 World Cup. So, yeah, it's him. Unlucky with injuries, though.
Yeah,
even when he came back and played for Borough afterwards, it still looked not 100%. It's still decent, though. Still better than Bramble and.
Well, that's what I said. It made me even think. Then I've never seen like Bramble in the same sentence as a good centre half, a good defender. That's what made me think. I'm like, what? Oh yeah, I'll get you.
I wasn't saying Bramble was a good centre half.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It went straight over my head until it.
You could have played alongside Woodgate and looked good.
Yeah,
that's what he's saying.
I mean, listen. I can't knock it, and the only thing that really turned me a little bit, if you like, was the fact of his injuries. It was just, it was just a shame that you really never saw him. So I've gone for the what you guys said before we were captain. I went for Colaccini because I just think he was, solid, if you like, very consistent, got leadership qualities, good on the ball, stayed with the club through thick and thin, helped with promotion. Had many great Premier League seasons. Reading of the game, his position and composure was all, for me, very good. Philippe Albert, again, I was really not 100% which way to go with this. The same with Woodgate, all on the same sheet. Very technical, brought flair, could defend, and also contribute going forward. His famous chip over Schmeichel on the 5-0 will always stick in my mind. And again, a lad who just loved the Toon life, if you like. Another honourable mention, and Tim's already mentioned one, I'm going to go with Stevie Howe as well. I thought Stevie Howe was gritty, strong in the air, reliable, tough defender, loved for his commitment and being a mainstay in the centre-back during various periods. And obviously, as you've said, Dabizas has to have a mention as well because he was a solid defender, especially in partnerships, perhaps less flashy than some of the others around him, but very dependable person and important during his spell. So all very, very plausible players.
Dabby's asked for his goals, of course.
I'm going to say Dabby's asked for his goals as well, yeah. So I've gone with Colaccini. Again, for me, he was absolutely awesome player.
Michael mix in there with peanuts, tenner a bag. The more you eat, the more you shall. La, 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 McNamee. Exactly. Who the in hell is he? The best centre-half in history.
Yeah, Chris went with Colaccini as well, just so everybody's on the same wavelength. Right then, let's go into fullback. Who has been your best fullback since you've been watching the Toon? Win.
I'm torn between two. Johnny Beresford and Luis Enrique. And...
Was it?
Sorry, Luis Enrique.
I like Luis Enrique.
I'm going to say, you could go that way if you want.
No. Luis Enrique, yeah, and I think I'm going to give it, for a bit of a similar reason to Woodgate, Liverpool don't buy donkeys.
No.
And
I
think he would have been quite, except Andy Carroll.
And the rat. Wait and see.
Well, let's hope he proves to be a donkey. But Luis Enrique for me. I keep saying
Jose
Enrique. Interesting one.
and I thought especially going forward as well. He was a tremendous defender, but he was also his partnership with Gutierrez was a joy to watch at times.
Yeah, and just
So
a
I'm worried-
reminder, everybody out there in viewerland, because James Cuff has put trips, surely, and you're absolutely right. But obviously, we've
Well-
got another show tomorrow for all those post takeover, all the ones that are good, and we're also going to have a look at some of them that haven't been so good. That we've bought into the side, so leave that one for tomorrow. But like I said, it's a good shout, Trips. Tim,
I mean, if you're going back in the day, Irish Assassins, they said Natras Kennedy,
yeah,
Clark,
absolutely.
Clark Craig, fantastic fullback partnerships.
Absolutely.
But
Tim?
Since we sold Natras and Kennedy, after that we bought the two current England under-23 internationals, John Ryan and Malcolm Brown. Ryan got injured, so never fulfilled. Malcolm Brown got injured, and Ryan never. Malcolm Brown broke his leg, and we never saw him really. And John Ryan, he was great going forward, but he couldn't defend.
No.
But Natras and Kennedy, again, Liverpool don't buy donkeys. And at the time when Natras was sold to Middlesbrough for 400,000, that was, going on for the top transfer fee of the day. And
When you said if we don't hurry up, we're gonna be at 2 o'clock. Come on, lad.
Go on. Then.
Tim.
Somebody said Domi, and I think that's a good shout. Domi was a good player, I think, for us down that left.
Yeah.
I would mention Bernard as well. He was quality left back for 3 years. Obviously Beresford as well, no doubt about him. But I would plumb for Enrique myself as well. I'd say he was the best. I've got memories of him where you just weren't going to get past him at all. He was an absolute tank defensively, but really good skill going forward as well.
Yeah, very good. Good shout, mate. Bokeh, who was yours, mate?
This isn't pre-takeover, is it? I can choose people after takeover.
You could choose whoever's floated your boat, mate.
I just didn't understand why anybody's picked Trips.
Well, that's what I said. I mean, we're going to do a show tomorrow on the post takeover of all the players coming in, but you can have whoever's shone your light, if you like, during the period of being a supporter.
I think Trippier's the only world-class fullback we've had. I would give shout-outs to Enrique. I'd give shout-outs to Warren Barton as well, and Beresford. But I think I know he's a bit older, but for me, the best, the only one that's been a world-class player in his time is Trips.
Yeah,
that's a fair comment.
Absolutely, Roy.
Didier Domi. Is that his first name? Didier.
Didier.
Bernard as well. I don't want to go post takeover because I think Tino played on the right, on the left, got injured anyway, but he's going to have a huge future, and of course Trippier. So we've had loads. Enrique as well, amazing. 2 seasons though. And then he went to Liverpool, and we finished above them.
Above them, yeah, exactly.
That year, so there's loads. The one the one who's useless, I think, which was the Brumble of fullbacks, was Stephen Carr. Especially that Lisbon game. Oh dear,
big disappointment. Carr. He was a good player at Spurs.
Good player, I was going to say. Yeah, he just wasn't the same player.
Well, we could dwell on it for ages, but we need to move on. But Stephen Carr, I think, again, I'm a minority voice, surprise, but I thought he got a lot of undue criticism. I thought he was a very good player.
Yeah. I found it really difficult to throw these two, if I'm honest with you, and lose one. But to me, one of the two standout players for me were David Craig and Frank Clark. During my early time, I thought they were absolutely awesome. David Craig, for me.
Did you not think Natras and Kennedy were better?
No, I don't. Not for what they Well, listen, again, they were superb players. And you've mentioned that Johnny Beresford, the Warren Bartons, and Jose Enriquez, all superb players. But, I look at Frank Clark, 62 to 75, he was with us. Model of consistency, not flashy, but dependable. And again, player that went on to bigger and better things, if you like. Part of the Fairs Cup winning side, solid in defence across many years. Fans respect his work ethics and service. But for me, I still found it really hard not to pick David Craig. You look at longevity, you look at consistency. He played so many seasons and with high appearances over a time where fullbacks were often expected to defend first and attack second. He maintained performances across changes in managers, style, and league competition. Defensive reliability, attacking contributions, while not flashy like Beresford, Craig offered a balance that many fullbacks after him only achieved in short spells. Defensively solid first, but also supported the attack when needed. Again, legacy as a fan respect, he's often the list of greatest right-backs of the club. Great frequent mention among best ever defenders in Newcastle's history. So for me, I had to pick him, even though, as you guys have both said, all of you have said, the lads that have come on board now, the Tinos, the Trips, they're all going to be mentioned going forward. But I think sometimes we forget the good ones that have gone by, and that's why I wanted to do this show, because I think we've had some fantastic fullbacks in the past. Some that have really entertained.
As I say, it came to an end with Natras and Kennedy, but for me, David Craig, loving the bits and all that, part of the promotion team, 65, Marshall, Craig, Clark, Anderson, McGrath, Eiley, Hockey, Harry, McCarry, Penman, Suddock. And David Craig for service, yeah, fantastic. But for actual skill and, defensive ability, I kind of put it. Natras was much better than him. Trips is a different league, to be fair. God bless him.
It's different football though now, isn't it?
But Craig Clark.
I thought you were talking about just left. Sorry, I just thought you were on about left backs as well. So I just want to say,
I said fullbacks. So that's why I said you can go left or right. So
I thought Andy Griffin was a good player for us as well.
Honourable mention as well.
Like you say, I think Warren Barton was right up there.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, we've had some really good fullbacks, and that's why I thought it was really difficult to try and, like you say, you talk about Natras and all them. It's like, wow, when you actually look back at the lads that we've had, there's been some absolute worldies out there.
But since Natras and Kennedy, until Livramento Hall, we've never had what I would consider, and let's hope they both come back from injury and can fulfil that promise. But we've never had two like Livramento and Hall. That's
what I said. For the
in
newbies,
between, we've had one side or the other side. We've never had two together.
Never had both.
Barton and Beresford.
Barton was okay for me. He was never top
Yeah,
of the
but you-
I
but
couldn't
you've
mention him
mentioned
in the
about-
best ever.
Yeah, but you've mentioned about Tino not being as effective as he is on the left-hand side. So is that the same?
In what respect? I'm not sure.
As in defender, you don't see him as a right back the same as you do as a left back with Tino.
I personally think he's played better at left back than he's done at right back, but that doesn't detract from the fact that he's a good right back as well.
Yeah.
Just out of interest, Gary, who did Chris choose?
Chris for the full back chose Trippier.
Yeah,
right back, Ryan Taylor left back, Ryan Taylor,
and David Santon. Yes, David Santon.
Santon for an honourable mention.
Yeah, for Santon.
Again, short-lived and
good player though.
And I couldn't put Ryan Taylor anywhere near that, to be honest. Sorry, Chris.
But again, it's like I said, it's at the time that you started watching the Toon, and if that's the one that's got him, there, then that's the players that stick
in this
his mind.
comment, he's got capital letters. By the way, Woodgate is not one of our best defenders ever. Well, all I can say is you couldn't have watched him.
Yeah. Thanks. It is an interesting shout, if I'm honest. And again, this is why I love shows like this, because it varies on people's opinions, what you saw, what interested you, the type of player, and that's why somebody's just put in the chat there. You know, the two lads that I've put in, Craig, yes, Clark, no. But like I say, I thought Clark was a crack.
See, if I was.
You'd have gone the other way, wouldn't you?
I would have gone the other way. I would have gone
exactly.
Clark potentially.
Yeah.
And Craig, no.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's interesting.
Someone's mentioned Habib Bey. I think that's a good show. I think Bey was a good player.
He was good there for a bit, yeah.
Very
Monday, Tuesday, Habib Bey. Wednesday, Thursday, Habib Bey.
This is going to be controversial.
Danny Simpson was part of the team that finished fifth as well.
Huh?
And Danny Simpson went on to win it
and won the league.
Oh, he was a good player.
Yeah. I think this is going to probably
5 clearances off the line in the first 10 games.
Your best midfielder win.
It picks itself as now, to be fair. Tonali by a million mile.
Okay.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, hands and kneesy, 1, 2, 3.
But is midfielder 10?
And I think he is already surpassed my previous best ever, who's one of the greatest players that's ever played for Newcastle. Again, injury curtailed his career, sadly, Tony Green. He was just a joy to watch.
Yeah. Again, for that
Tonali's got the lot, man.
Yeah.
You know, we've got to do whatever it takes to get him signed up on a long-term deal. It's got to be done. End of.
I'm just taking my tablets.
Yeah. Tim?
Best midfielder across the park, I would say Solano for me.
No, not winger, midfielder. We're going to come to wingers in a minute.
Centre mid.
Centre mid.
Rob Lee's up there, Rob Lee's up there.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think I would say Rob Lee.
Yeah, good shout, mate.
Interesting.
Boki?
It's Tonali for me. I think he's a class above anything we've ever had. Completely agree with Tim, though. I loved Rob Lee, and I've wrote him down. And the only other one I wrote down was Cabaye. I thought he was a brilliant central midfielder when he was there as well.
Yeah. Love it. What about you, Roy? Hey,
Tonali.
Can't pick it. Well, is Ben Arfa, are we going to add Ben Arfa as a winger, or is it a number 10?
Well, Ben Arfa was versatile, wasn't he? He could go anywhere.
So we'll keep him for the winger. Tonali by a mile. By a mile.
I mean, I can't fault you.
I rarely put players' names on the shirts, and I had to put Tonali this year.
Chris has gone for Tonali, and he's added the honourable mention for Toon legend Mohamed Diarmi. My God.
There was somebody in the chat.
Well, that championship season, yeah.
Didi Haman as well. He was a brilliant midfielder.
Yeah, he was.
Superb.
The other
he
one,
wasn't. Tonali can do everything Haman can do, and
better.
a bit more.
Yeah, and still run
and
box
a bit
to box.
better as well.
There was also the angry. Was it Emery? It was called or something. Was he Turkish?
Emery's. Emery. Yeah, I liked him.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was an angry little player, but he was good.
I thought he flattered the deceiver a lot.
Scored the free kick against the Mackhams as well.
He did,
He did. So he gets an extra brownie point for that.
He had a great goal once against Reading. He turned 3 or 4 playing and just blasted it from like 25 yards or something.
Yeah, he had his moments.
did anybody see the interview with Toon Army with his dog? I don't know if it went out the day, but he was on about his girlfriend was saying, "Oh, he speaks really good English now," and he actually turned around and he says, "I still can't really understand Geordie. I'll have to stay 5 or 6 years to get that." I was thinking, please make that be the case.
Yeah.
I think one mention I just say is Kieran Dyer, centre mid. Like he should have done more with his potential. There's no doubt about that.
Well, even he admits that.
Yeah, but centre mid alongside Gary Speed, alongside Rob Lee in Rob Lee's later years, like he got up and down the pitch, and the way he affected the game, not many midfielders do these days. I think he's probably a tad underrated because of his antics and because of some of the stuff that happened with him. But at the same time, I think he should have improved a lot more than what he did in the end. I think again, go back to Robson. It's a shame how that worked out because I think Robson was probably a bit too soft on him, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, this is why I've gone for. It's difficult for me to pick either one of these. So, like I said, I'm trying to do a formation of my 4-4-2. I will say there's one player out of both of these, but I have to put them both in my team. Gary Speed and Rob Lee for me were absolutely instrumental. And again, I've got to give mentions to Johan Kabay, Gaza, Bruno, Tonali. But like I say, I've kept, because we're going to do the show tomorrow on post takeover. I want to leave some room for that as well. So, but when I look at this, the best midfielder for me has probably been Rob Lee. Again, you talk about longevity, consistency, many seasons, many matches, regular contributions, effective in several different managerial regimes, showed adaptability. He had the attribute fans value as well, the work rate, the scoring, the linking play, coming up with big moments. He didn't always get the flashy praise like Gaza did, but, for me, he delivered over time. So that, for me, edges it. I loved Gaza, just wasn't with us long enough. But I think, for me, he was the one. Like Gary Speed, again, that's why I've put them both in the squad. If I had them two in my midfield at any point, wow, what a midfield that would have been. And I think that could have equaled what we've got now with Bruno and Tonali, even as a working pair with the work rate that them two did. I know you're shaking your head, but I still, like I said, we're talking, a few decades ago compared to today. And these guys didn't play on a carpet every week, and they still produced. And that's why I look at it.
I just quickly say, Gary, sorry, Gary, I quickly say, Roy Keane was asked about 3-4 years ago who were his most difficult opponents. And everyone expected him to say, like Vieira and Gerrard. And obviously they were at times, but he said, actually, there's other players like, and he mentioned Rob Lee, Gary Speed and David Batty as like the most difficult opponents that he'd faced while he was a player. So it kind of tells it one story, I would say.
Yeah, I think it does. Corey D's in with a super chat. Thanks, Corey. You want to do this one?
Henri Xavier.
He scored their own goal once and in the same game when he scored for us.
Bless him. Thanks, Corey.
I think what a lot of fans forget is with Gary Speed, he actually turned the fans around. Because when he first signed, he wasn't particularly loved. I think when
he go to bed, Corey.
I think when Kenny Dalglish got sacked, one of the jokes that was going around the town was because he was getting £5 million compensation, and Gary Speed cost £5 million, was giving Gary Speed his compensation. So
Gary Speed, when he first came, by the way,
turned it round a big style at the town.
But when Gary Speed first came, he wasn't because he was bought for the left wing. He was bought to replace Ginola, and he didn't start off well at all. It wasn't until he dropped back that he suddenly started producing the goods.
In Robson's first season, he scored 14 goals from centre mid. 14 goals. So as good as our midfielders are.
That was when Robson came in and dropped him back.
That's what I'm saying.
Dalglish had signed him as a left winger to replace Ginola.
But that's what I'm saying. Gary Speed turned it around as a player. There's not many players that do that, where they come in, get a reputation for not being great, and then turn it around.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
A la Joey
he
Linton.
do that.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I
There's
say,
one, yeah.
would you put him in the no.
No.
But anyway, let's go on to wingers then. Yeah, I mean, you guys have already mentioned a couple of really good players there that played on the wing. You've done Chris's. So, Win, do your winger while I look up Chris's choice.
Well, Kevin Keegan as a player,
As a player, yeah.
just
Good shout.
you know,
Yeah, great shout.
unprecedented, really. And then, sadly, I've got to put Keegan in front of my personal favourite winger, which was Laurent Robert. He was just a joy to watch. Some of the goals he scored and the crosses he put in for Shearer were just incredible. But in terms of actual pure football ability, work rate, the whole lot, what he did for the team, you cannot go past Kevin Keegan as a player.
Yeah, I agree.
Honourable
Absolutely.
mention for Jinky Jimmy. Back in the day, he's still the most skillful player, including Ginola. Jinky Jimmy is the most skillful player I've ever seen at the Toon for beating a man. I remember Crystal Palace, Selhurst Park one year. He went down, we broke from a corner. He beat the fullback on the left-hand side, right in front of the travelling fans. Got past him, looked up into the middle. Wyn Davies hadn't made it. You know, they were still getting up the pitch. He'd outrun them. So by the time the fullback had recovered, the first time he'd slipped the ball up the wing and ran past him. Second time he nutmegged the same fullback, got past again. They still weren't there. The fullback's recovered again. He pushes the ball round the inside, runs round the outside. The fullback ends up on his backside. He crosses the ball. Wyn Davies puts it in the net. And the Selhurst Park fans, the Crystal Palace fans, were actually taking the piss out their own fullback. The fans, we were in the corner, and the Palace fans neck on the other side of the fence, they were taking the piss out their own fullback. It was just incredible to watch. That's probably the end of that performance there, along with, can you remember Ginola's against Middlesbrough, when Johnny B's applauding him on the touchline because he'd skinned Neil. I can't remember his name. I knew the Middlesbrough fullback, and they beat him, skinned him completely, did him, and crossed in Les Ferdinand, knocked in the winner.
Yeah. For Chris, it was Solano and Gutierrez, left and right. So, Tim, who was yours, dude?
Definitely got to mention Ben Arfa. For me, he was just like, his ability was unbelievable.
Wasted, wasn't he?
Sorry?
It was just wasted. It was just his head. I don't know what it was.
I know. Like, I just wish he had his head screwed on a bit more, because there was stories that he'd kind of just be like a days ago in training and stuff. And I remember him being annoyed at
He was uncoachable, according to the coaching team at the time.
Possibly. I know I was really annoyed with Pardew at the time, because he was dropping a lot, wasn't he? He wasn't playing him all the time. And I was thinking, just get him on right wing and let him do his stuff. I suppose
he just needed one of them. He just needed a free role, didn't he? That's what he needed. He needed a manager that just let him play. Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, to be fair, Pardew, you know, he's got to think of the team structure and stuff, and he's got to think of discipline in the training ground and stuff. So I get that as well. But he had all the talent in the world.
When he come from Marseille, you know, I was one of them players that you just think, oh, you know. And then, like you said, he was so in and out of the team. Then he was out. Was he loaned out to Hull at one point?
That was at the end.
That was towards the end. And then he come back, and then he was with no team when he left us for a while before he was picked up again. So, he, like you say, for me, the only thing that destroyed him was was himself. No other manager could do him. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
I'd love to have seen him under Keegan or Robson.
Yeah. Just go and play. Just go and play. That's what he needed. He needed just to go and play. do what he did nice. You know what I mean? I mean, what that goal that he scored from our own half? Who was that against now? When he
Wanderers.
Bolton, not Everton.
Bolton.
Which one?
Well, he
Was
did
it
it. He did
Bolton?
it twice because he did it against
Bolton and Everton.
Blackburn as well.
Blackburn,
Yeah.
sorry, not Bolton. Aye.
Blackburn was the cup, and then Bolton was the league.
Aye. But I would say, obviously, Robert, like you say, win. I mean, as talented as Robert was and as great as he was for us, there were moments where he literally stopped playing as well. I remember one time in the Champions League, we're playing Kiev at home and we're winning 2-1 and we're hanging on for the win. We needed to win that game as well. And Kiev are pushing forward to get equaliser and like the seconds left and everyone's screaming for the whistle and Kiev overload down the right and their fullback overlaps. And literally, Robert is just literally standing, just watching the halfway line. Like, you know, are we finished here? And everyone's scrambling to defend to get the win. Do you know what I mean? So, like, he had those moments where I said, what are you doing? Like, just work back. But he was so talented as well. And so many, like, iconic moments with him going forward. But my favourite is Nobby Solano. I think he was the best.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I say, a good shout. He was very entertaining. Bokeh, it was yours, bud.
Mine Solano as well. I think Solano was a brilliant winger. He's they always say don't come back to a club, but I even think when he came back, he didn't let himself down.
No, not at all.
He was still
It
a
was
good
the same,
player.
wasn't he?
Yeah,
The same momentum, same type of personality.
100%. Notable people I've noted down have already been mentioned. To be honest, Ginola, Gillespie, and Robert. You know, it as Wynne said before, probably between the four of them, there's a fag paper between them, and this is probably the only position that we've been through the night where I'd swap all four of them for the four players that we've got in position at the minute.
yeah, exactly. Roy, who's yours?
I've got a frustrating list, which is Ben Arfa, my favourite, but I'm not going to say he's the best one. Maxi, amazing ability, same as Ben Arfa, no brain. If you put a brain in Maxi, you'll end up having a world-class player. But he's in Mexico now. Just shows, and he's 28 or something. So then you got the classic three. You got Ginola, Robert, and Solano. I'll have to pick one of those three. Can't pick anybody else because I'm looking at our wingers now, and I'm going to go with Robert because those goals are bullets, man. And plus, Santiago Nunes, half of those goals were actually Robert.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going Robert.
Goal!
I must admit
Santiago
that
Nunes is Robert.
Yeah,
From
absolutely.
distance. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I found this one really hard, if I'm honest with you, because they're all favourable mentions, and I love that when you look at, you know, a squad. I've nailed it down to two players that really, from two different decades, if you like. But I'm going to give a shout out to Hibbert as well because I enjoyed watching Hibbert and Barraclough. I enjoyed watching Barraclough as well. Again, less flashy, but he was important in his era. A consistent winger during the 70s and good goal tally as well. Ben Arfa, as you've mentioned, Ginola, another one of my favourites. But I've gone with Chrissy Waddle and Laurent Robert. Again, I couldn't really split either of them because in their era they were superb players. Brilliant dribbler for Chrissy Waddle, creative flair, defenders, provide goals, assists, one of the entertainers. Era ranked number one in the Give Me Sports greatest wingers list. I didn't realise that until I researched it a little bit. Nobby Solano, as you've said, you know, both on the return. But for me, Robert, for his goals, were absolutely amazing. He was an explosive winger, got an amazing shot on him, good at set pieces as well. All long distance efforts. Left wing was a threat in a lot of the big matches that we played. I love Laurent Robert, but again, you know, another area you've mentioned, you know, like Ginola. I love that his charisma, if you like, that flashiness from the Frenchman. So I've put the two in. Like I say, I'm going with the 4-4-2, and I'm going to say Laurent Robert just pips it for me. I mean, you know, because you guys have talked a lot about players of yesteryear now compared to what we've got in the modern era. Do you think them would have got into our team now?
Robert, 100%.
With the wingers, 100%.
Yeah.
Funny, isn't it?
Solano's better than any of the ones we've got now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Solano, Gillespie on the right and Robert Ginola on the left.
On the left. What a pair that would, wouldn't it?
We haven't been, I thought the question was the best winger, which is why I went for Robert.
Well, it
if
is.
If you were saying right winger, then I would go with Solano, because
I just said winger.
Really, on the right wing, we've had very, very little. We've had loads of good left wingers, Waddle, as you've said, Robert,
Gutierrez, and
Ginola, Gutierrez. But on the right wing, we've had very little. Gillespie.
We had Obertan on the right.
I'm saying you picked Keegan.
The less said about him, the better. Although, again, I didn't think he was given a proper chance, but that's by the by.
But I'm saying, Keegan, when you picked Keegan, would he not have played on the right wing?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, of course he would.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
So you did pick a right wing?
I don't think this needs a lot of broadcasting, because who's your favourite striker or striking pair? Win.
Oh, striking pair. Well, even if you go to pair, it's not even a close call, really. I mean, Shearer is number one. You got him and Malcolm in my time, Malcolm MacDonald and Wyn Davies. The mighty Wyn himself. They were head and shoulders, and if you're talking about combinations, Davies and Brian Robson, Pop Robson, and then you had MacDonald and Tudor, great combo. But Shearer, Ferdinand, there's nobody ever going to come close to them. I don't know.
No, you're right. It's a hard one to get the right pairing, and that was a good pairing. Tim?
I think, I would say Beardsley deserves a mention in the number 10. So I know it's not necessarily striker, but him behind Cole, from what I've seen when I've looked back, was a really good pairing. Obviously, like you say, you got Shearer, Ferdinand. But I've got to say, there's two other pairings, I would say. The first one is, it was only briefly, but for me, Shearer and Ferguson was really good for that season under Robson. They had really good games together, where the game was different back then as well. Do you know what I mean? You didn't have to have as much pace going forward. And those two absolutely bullied defenders when they played together. And you think of that goal against Man U where Shearer flicked it on and Ferguson swung and volleyed straight in. That sort of combination play, it was underrated, I thought. I thought Ferguson, even with his injuries, I think he was underrated for us, and it's a shame he left. But I think Bellamy and Shearer as a combination really complemented each other spot on, with the pace in behind with Bellamy and Shearer's strength and link-up play as well.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Obviously, Shearer deserves a mention, but for me, I think the best striker we've had since I've watched the town's been Shola Ameobi. He was just immense. Scored 1 in 6 goals, had 2 seasons where he scored over 10 goals. I think he just gets down-rated. I can't keep a straight face when I'm doing this. No, it has to be Shearer, doesn't it? I didn't go for a combination, to be honest, but
no, you don't have to.
Shearer would be, I think, a strong mention for Les as well, Les Ferdinand and Andy Cole. And one person I'm really glad got mentioned in the chat, and I was going to say at the end of the stream, if he hadn't been mentioned, is Peter Beardsley is probably the best player I've ever seen. We haven't put him anywhere in the team.
Well, it's hard to put him somewhere because you don't know whether to put him in midfield or in attack.
I think that's the big problem with him. But I remember one of my first ever games I went to was against West Ham, and he did this thing. I don't know if any of you ever remember, but he had the ball between his feet, and he sort of jinked him off both feet, and then scored a goal. And you
just don't see these type of goals anymore, do you?
That's what Walter Marder does now.
Yeah. I just think if you had Peter Beardsley in your squad, you would find a place for him. The problem is it's really hard to pick him, put him in a place because he was just such a good player. He could play across a load of positions.
Yeah.
I think
Do you think Beardsley was better in his first or his second spell?
I didn't see him in his first spell. I was too young.
Right, okay.
His second spell for me. I think Gary Lineker, and I've said this on the channel before, I know, but I think Gary Lineker summed him up completely when he was asked, I was asked, how did you score 48 goals for England, was it? And he went, well, 47 and we're down to Peter Beardsley, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a phenomenal player. I loved him.
Chris. Oh dear. I have to say the rat. For now. Voldemort incoming though. And again, honourable mention to Shearer, but he wasn't playing in his peak years in my time as a fan. So he's not including Shearer because
that's what I said. I think he has to call it. Yeah, I think he has to call Isaac at the minute because of what he's
the
what
rat,
he's witnessed.
Please, the rat.
Oh, the rat. Yes, indeed.
The rat.
Roy, who was your striker?
Well, I'm going to pick a pair, so Shearer, forget that one. So Shearer's there.
Exactly.
And then from the ones I've seen, Andy Cole is brilliant, man. He was just, I mean, I wish we had them both together, but it never happened. For about 3 months in 2005, Shearer Owen, that was amazing. Before he got his metatarsal broken. So that was really good. But of course, we don't like him anymore. The Rat, I hate to say it, but he's probably one of our top 5 ever goal scorers. Shora as well. I've had loads of...
you can't put Shora in there. I tell you what, you could put Demba Ba and Sissi in as a pair.
Yeah, I'm going to say somebody's put that in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of I would say bang average teams. But the amount of goals those two scored together is amazing.
Yeah.
And they took us to 5th. Yeah, so I'll have to go Andy Cole with Shearer.
Very good.
Even though they never played together, but that's the two. Yeah, I'm not putting a rat in.
No, well, I've gone very much with Shearer and Beardsley because, like I said, we hadn't really spoke about Beardsley, and when you look at his contribution for Newcastle, I just found it absolutely phenomenal. You know, his first ever game was in '83 against Barnsley. His last game was '97 against Nottingham Forest. He played a total of 326. He started 322, and it was only sub 4 times. And he was only substituted out of those 322 games. He was only substituted 18 times, 118 goals, and he was cautioned 17 times. And obviously, there's other things, but like you said, you know, for me, he was an absolute worldie of a player for what he did and how he played. You know, in that era when it was very difficult to get the ball on the floor most of the time. But again, you know, you can't not have Shearer.
The only thing I would say about Beardsley, and I love him as well, by the way, you know, I mean, if you're talking about skill, he's definitely, you know, up there in the top 3 most skillful players we've ever had. But his best years weren't with us. That's the only
weren't
thing.
with us. No, exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you know, you know you've got a good player.
You know, Keegan had to lie about his age when Keegan wanted to sign him. He had to lie about his age because John Hall says, "We're not saying he says, not man. He's only 28."
And obviously, I have to do a honourable mention to Super Mac because of my granddad. Excellent at his peak, scored a lot of goals for us. He was superb, and like I said, you know, I was there when he scored his hat-trick on his debut. So that was
funny enough. You've mentioned Super Mac and Hibbert there, and watch tomorrow's show, folks, because we've got a little something on Super Mac and Hibbert.
There you go. So I mean, like I say, that like you know, the beauty of these type of shows is everybody's got an opinion, and everybody has their own, you know, their own makeup of who they love to see. And for me, we've always seemed to have individual players that have shone in pretty poor teams. And unfortunately, we've also had pretty good teams, and the individuals who expect to shine just haven't. But it's for me, like, I love looking back on nostalgia and yesteryear, and just remembering some of these players that unfortunately some aren't with us anymore. And like you say, honourable mention to the likes of Tudor and stuff like that, because these are the guys that I started watching. And I know, like I say, your history to mine is massively different. But I think that is what makes it so special, because if you look at all of us, we're all at different decades, and we've all seen Newcastle high, and we've all seen them really low. And within that team, whoever's coached or managed them at the time, they've brought some bloody stars to the light. And like I say, in the chat, there's been some really strange names, I must admit. I'm sure some are just taking the pee. I hope they are. Anyway, because there's been some, like Quinn and McGee from Marco broke records. And that's what I said. You've got to look at when Connor said Cisse and Bart, because again, it was a damn good partnership up there in a team that wasn't fantastic, but they seemed to score. James Cuffer said Lovenkrantz has a soft spot for him, and he remembers the goal against West Brom, and that's what I love. Mick says Verardi.
Leon Best as well.
Well,
he did the job for.
Leon Best will never ever get the mention, though, will he? Because, like I say, his antics just wasn't good apparently around the ground.
I think one player that hasn't got a mention that was possibly one of the skillfulest players I've ever seen. Skillfulest, is that a word? But anyway, one of the most skillful players I've ever seen is the original Tino Asprilla. I mean, he was.
Oh God, aye, yeah.
The
octopus.
Yeah, he was amazing. Amazing type of player. I mean, he didn't know he was going to do, so nobody else had a chance in the team.
I was going to say,
but he was a brilliant player.
Yeah, again, but he wasn't. For me, he wasn't one of those.
He's my
players.
Son's favourite player, Asprilla.
It was Asprilla. Well, that's what I'm saying. He was a difficult player to watch, as you said, Boki. You really hadn't got a clue what was going to happen, because he could beat two or three players, but then he could fall over his own bloody feet at times. But the hat trick against Barca. Everybody's going to remember that. Some of his tumbles. Didn't he get a rollicking off one of the coaches because they were worried about him hurting himself?
That was Martins, I think.
That was
somersaults? Do his somersaults?
Yeah,
I remember somebody
Martins
getting a rollicking.
well.
Yeah, well, yeah, Obafemi.
Obafemi. Obafemi Martins.
Ian Rush without a tash.
Oh, Jesus. I think that was enough said. Martin Bland there says he thinks Asprilla is the reason I see potential in Asula. Similar crazy stuff. And he has got a similarity to some of his play, if I'm honest with you. Marco saying Rubber Legs was his nickname.
The Octopus was his nickname.
The Octopus?
Yeah.
Right.
He was the original one with a corner flag as well, wasn't he?
I'm going to say, that was just, you're going to take, he wasn't that where Bruno got his from, though?
Well, a lot of them do.
I think it was a copy of that one, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Yeah. I'm sure I heard Bruno say that he's actually picked that up from Tino's, what Tino did before. But like I say, there has been. But it's funny though, isn't it? When you talk about some of our players that have moved on to the likes. I mean, Liverpool. Craig Connor's in there as a Liverpool fan. I can definitely say we adore Burghley. Some of the players, and I'm not, by any shadow of a doubt, taking the P here. Some of the players that we have, Sir Galahad's asking who I picked. I picked Shearer and Beardsley as my two. Again, it's difficult because, there's so many partnerships. I just love the way Beardsley played, and you said about Walter Marder and Colin saying that he reminds you very much of the way Beardsley used to play, and I suppose you've got it probably spot on, because the close control of Voltemada that I've seen so far, it excites me to see what the lad can produce. But it's Fabrice Pancrat.
Early days.
Nah.
No. So, any more thoughts on your yesteryear before I get into a little bit of news? Nothing major that's out there.
No, I
Talking
think
about, you've covered everything, haven't we?
I would just say about what Roy said about Owen is that I remember that time when we signed Owen, and I remember thinking we've really sorted out the Shearer replacement now.
Yeah.
And we've got England's striker, you know what I mean, to just be with us for the next 10 years. And like you said, it was exciting when Shearer was still there, and for those few months, he played with Owen, and I was thinking, yeah, okay, let's watch the space, but
let
it obviously
the good
didn't work
times
out.
begin.
Got injured, yeah.
Do you know what the best thing with Owen was when Keegan came back? Keegan played him a little bit further back, so he played.
Absolutely right, Porky.
Yeah.
He had two strike. He played what was his name? Viduka
and Martins and Owen together.
And Owen played a little bit further back, and I think that was the best period Owen ever had for it.
Mate, it was, and I think as much as like Owen gets stick, and I get it, but he did play really well in that period, and he scored some cracking goals for us.
27 goals in 54 games.
Yeah. 2 against the Mackhams in that game.
I have got fond memories of some of the games that he played in, like you say, especially when Keegan came back in that run at the end of the season.
I think when
I
Keegan
get
left, he lost
brickbats
it
in the pub for defending Owen. They all absolutely hate him. And I said, all I'm interested in is what he does when he's on the pitch, and what he did on the pitch, was almost faultless.
I think it was that Portsmouth game he missed loads of chances, and then the following one against Fulham didn't turn up. And then the last one was Villa, we went down.
Yeah, that was it.
We've judged his whole career with us on those 3, and then him leaving straight after the season. But here's the knob, though.
This will get me completely slagged off in the chat, I know, but I think part of Owen's problem with his don't get us wrong, Owen did a lot wrong, but I think part of the historic issue now is the way Shearer speaks about him, because Shearer's like seen as a god in Tyneside, which is right for his scoring for the club, but as a manager, I think he was bloody awful, to be honest. I think that's why he's stuck to punditry ever since. And I think the way he talks about the players that he had, not Warren Barton, Joey Barton let him down, Owen let him down. But you don't come out and do what Shearer did publicly. You sort of, if you're trying to stay up, you try to keep the whole thing together. And I think Shearer, as I say, as a manager, wasn't great. As a striker, brilliant.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, he was forced into a situation that he just was totally out of his depth.
The mighty panty dropper official fan club.
Easy for you to say.
Roy Cavi Punani Arnie back in the house.
Love it. The Punani Army.
Aye. There's no Punani in Guildford.
Oh, I love it. A couple of interesting one. I don't know whether you guys have seen, but Jeff Hendrick gave his views on Isaac Voltemada, Joe Linton and Eddie Howe for the Manchester United job. Obviously, Jeff Hendrick has been talking about what position is now Newcastle United and the various issues are at the club. Obviously, he signed in 2020 on a free transfer when his Burnley deal ended. Disastrous combination of Mike Ashley and Steve Bruce overseeing a process at Newcastle heading into deep decline. All the underlying factors was clear as day. But obviously, him and he's come on board and made a little bit of a statement. Newcastle might have the best midfield in the Premier League. They're robust, strong, and have a bit of nastiness about them. They're all comfortable on the ball and can pop up with goals, said Hendrick. But I just love how compact they are and how hard they work. As I said, they celebrate tackles and put in 40 to 50-yard bursts and runs to help their defence. I definitely agree. that I don't see another midfield three matching or surpassing them. There may be a similar midfield three, but it's vital for Newcastle to keep them fit because they are so important to the club. He talks about Joe Linton as well because there was a friend of his, it was a Newcastle fan, who said that J7, when he come on board, was a bit poor. And he turned around and he said, I know the price tag was there and then getting a number 9 jersey, but I'm nearly sure he wasn't an out-and-out striker before he went to Newcastle. Again, as a lot of people said that, which he wasn't, absolutely. We were under a lot of pressure at the time. The club wasn't in a good place. It was a little bit toxic, but after a week, my pal was like, he's rubbish and this and that. I was like, he's the best player here. He's literally got everything. He's like, no chance, no way. I said, honestly, he's big, strong, quick, runs all day. Brilliant on the ball. I said, he's not got a goal scorer in him. He's not certainly a 20-goal man. I'm sure it was just before Eddie came on board, or possibly when Howe came in, they started bringing him back. They played him at the 10, then sort of 2/8, but he had the license to roam into the 10 position. I remember we played Marcel Bielsa's Leeds, and it was a man for man. And then one of the tackles was get the ball to Joe Linton because they won't get the ball off him. He was that good. So to see him transition is crazy, but I don't think he was an out-and-out striker. But it doesn't surprise me at all. I think he's brilliant and he looks so comfortable in there. With the other two lads, they all suit each other in a different way. They all have different roles as midfielders, and he doesn't look out of place at all. I mean, it's an interesting one because we've said all along how well J7 has done, but I don't think when I look at J7's role within the squad now as the stopper, if you like, I do think there's better out there. But is it something that Newcastle need to be looking at now? Because obviously we've got the January window, and again, according to reports, there's been another 111 million pumped in by PIF to help out with obviously ongoing wages and bills, and obviously the January window, which isn't that far away as daft as it looks. So is the midfield a concern for any of you guys, or is it a fullback, or do you think we still need a striker?
I think we need a striker.
Okay. So you don't think Asula's going to be the man? Because obviously there's rumours that he's being
Sadly
touted
not. I think if we can get
for Frankfurt.
half decent money for him or Frankfurt.
There's been a definite difference in his body language, I must admit, over the last couple of games that I've seen.
Yeah, well, Gary Morn was on the show the other day, and he said he's noticed a tremendous difference.
Yeah, there's definitely, but there's also apparently he's not happy. Apparently, there's been words said about the lack of game time, and he wants out in January. I believe that's the reasons why Frankfurt are potentially hovering over.
Certainly, if we do get rid of him, we definitely need another striker.
Oh, well, I agree. I think if he does go through the door, I think there's...
And of course, we don't know how Wissa's going to come back.
No, or when he's going to come back. Because, like I say, we've heard that it's not an ACL.
Apparently, the season out business is total,
gone. Yeah, it's rubbish. Yeah.
Rubbish.
But it could be the new year before you see the best of Wissa. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's long enough.
Could be after AFCON. We could just get him fit, go to AFCON, get crocked there again.
Get crocked again. Well, I don't think he'll be fit or ready to go to AFCON, if I'm honest with you. And I'm sure that the club will have a bit of a say on that.
I think when it comes to midfield, I think that depends on how well Jacob Ramsey and Lewis Miley do between now and the end of the year. If those two players hit the ground running when they come into the side, as they will need to with rotation, then we might be okay, I think. But if not, then maybe we need another one. And for me, I said last night in the green room, I'd be keeping my eye on Kobbie Mainoo at Man United.
Well, there's still reports out there that they've got in touch. Let me just read it because I have just... That's not it. Bear with me a second because I've got so many things open. Yeah, here we go. Newcastle United monitor Kobe Mainoo's move amid Man United's camp contact over the January loan move. So it does look very much like United are keeping tabs on Kobe Mainoo. But is he the answer? Do you think he could come in and do a different job to what the likes of Miley, and obviously he's a different type of player to Ramsey, to be fair. But do you think Kobe Mainoo's the answer?
I think you made an interesting point, Gary, about you would want a 6, wouldn't you? To sit.
Mate. I want to free up the two players that really show Newcastle the way is Tonali and Bruno. But I think they're too restricted for me. I think if they've got somebody who can release Tonali a bit more reliable than J7, and I don't mean that in a nasty way. J7's great at what he does, but what J7 hasn't got is the ability to play under a bit of pressure. He's a bit gangly for me. He's great at winning the ball back and knocking a 5-yard ball, but he ain't the best player in the world consistently doing that and pinging a 70-yard ball to feet. So I'd like somebody who can see the game as well as just stop the game.
Well, I think somebody like Paulina, who signed for Spurs this summer, he would have been, I think,
ideal
fit for that sort of role.
Yeah.
If we're keeping the same system and we're going to keep Tonali like more as a 6, then that's where I think Mainoo would slot in on the left side and replace Joe Linton, where he's combative, but he's also got more skill than Joe Linton going forward.
Yeah,
that's what I'd be looking at potentially.
Yeah, totally agree.
It's in the combat department that I'm a bit worried about Mainoo, because I don't think he is combative at all.
He needs to develop, but I think he would.
Yeah, it depends for me on whether, like I say, I know it would keep or restrict Tonali doing what Tonali does best for me, and that's play in and around the opposition penalty area. I think if it's like I said, what we've got at the moment is Wynn is a great adversary of, why play a player there when you lose, or change a player when you lose 2 players. And I say that with the likes of Gordon playing up front, because then you lose a left winger as well as a striker. And I think we do the same when we're asking, or we're tasked with the likes of Tonali to play the dead balls, the set piece stuff. Even though he's quality at it, what you actually lose there is a lad from the 20-25 yard mark who can actually strike a ball. And we've all seen that. It only seems like Bruno has done anything recently that, well, to my memory anyway, where we've looked like striking the ball well towards goal without J7 throwing it over the bar type of thing. And that's why I say, I think for me, if we can release somebody, and I must admit, I've not been really enamoured by what I've seen by the set piece coach yet. As much as he comes with great background, again, it seems as though we have lost our way when it comes to dead ball situations with takers. How many players have we seen take a dead ball this season? Corners. We've seen Elanga have a go. Hall's had a go. Trips has had a go. But I understand Trips now not wanting to do the right to left diagonal corners, because, he's got to run 70 to 80 yards and then he's got to, track back. And they have to manage him. So I understand all that. But it just proves to me that we are really lacking a dead ball specialist at the club at the minute. And it just seems as though, somebody was saying about Elanga, he can do it with his left and his right. Well, if he can do it with his left and right, why can't he bleed and shoot with his left and right? Because I haven't seen enough of that either, from that right-hand side. So for me, that is an area, like I said, if we can find somebody that can sit in the holding position, that is a real good dead ball player, I think, Newcastle could go far this season. We ain't missing too much if we can get the wingers working. That's how I see the team at the minute anyway. Going on a little bit more news, again, nothing too drastic that's out there because everybody's away. You've all heard of the saga with Joe Linton and Bruno having to divert the plane back because there was issues with the plane or something. So they have been delayed their long distance travel across to Korea. And we've also got, obviously, there was been talk about the swap deal with Vlad and Elliot Anderson at Forest, and it looks very much as though Vlad has been touted as being part of Seville come January, when they look to switch the loan to a permanent signing. They've really been interested in what they've seen and witnessed with Vlachodimos. But however, the recent financial struggles, they will need Newcastle to sell for considerably less than the 20 million we paid for him. They're looking at spending, now get this, guys, 5 million euros.
We can't, because we are losing 5 million a year on PSR.
Yeah.
So that's 10 gone. We've still got 10. So if we sell them for 5, we lost 5.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
20 million, and this is only 5 million euros, right? So what's that? 3.7 million?
3.5 or something.
Yeah, something stupid like that. So that's what I'm saying. I read that and I'm like, you're taking the biscuit here.
We're probably better off leaving him on loan with them.
On loan,
Say,
absolutely.
have him for free when his contract's finished.
Yeah. I just can't see I can't see any feasibility behind that. It just seems, it beggars belief if Newcastle go ahead and do that anyway. So that is literally all that's out there again, apart from what people think. And I was just going to end it on talk about Tyneside life. And I did mention about the Philippe Albert saga and stuff like that being seen. And Malik Chow apparently has put Joe Pedro to shame with some of his Newcastle comments. And he's, I don't know whether you heard about Joe Pedro saying that people don't want to live in the Northeast. And Malik Chow has written, the German international is providing to be a cult hero on Tyneside, admits he has no regrets for swapping Milan for Tyneside. Newcastle United star Malik Chow has insisted it isn't grim up north, admitting he's falling in love with life in the Northeast already after his summer move from Milan. Chow swapped Europe's capital of fashion, Milan, to the nights at the front of the Duomo Cathedral for the big market at Northumberland Street, and insists he is enjoying the warm Geordie welcome. And it just goes on to talk about, obviously, what Joe Pedro snubbed the move to St James's Park because he preferred London's lifestyle when he signed for Chelsea, while traditionally Newcastle have missed out on a clutch of foreign stars who were attracted to the bright lights of the capital. Chair was admitted he was given conflicting advice about moving to Tyneside, but has now been wooed by the walks along the River Tyne and the natural life in nearby Northumberland. It's nice to read, if I'm honest with you. All of us know what the Northeast gives us, and I must admit, it must be a conflicting mindset for some of these foreign players that are being spoken to by other professionals about moving from the likes of Milan to the Northumberland heady heights and the chill off that northeast sea line. But it's a beautiful place. And I must admit, I don't think there's a warmer place when it comes to fans that I've ever met, if I'm honest with you. And that still holds true in my heart. And I've been to a lot of venues across the globe. And I still think Newcastle is probably one of the warmest places. I mean, even me, as I go up as a Brummie, if you like, I'm able to have a conversation with anybody on the street. But when I was up with Win and Chris, when Chris come over from America, we went to that cafe, and the people that come over to speak to us, it's only because obviously Win's the hero of the day. I mean, he's like a superstar. Wherever you go, everybody throws the pants and bras at him. But it is lovely, to think that players are shirking the stories that the Northeast isn't a place to live.
But Gary, I think players nowadays have got such a small pool that they actually do things. So it's not like maybe the 80s, 90s, early 2000s where players would be out and about and going for drinks down the big market and things. If they're going to go out drinking, they tend to book a space in a bar now that is a private space. And
Or
if
Weatherspoons.
Weatherspoons, yeah. The quayside. I got kicked out the other day because I was sitting in their space. But no, you sort of. I don't think it makes as much difference now where apart from the weather probably, and where players live, because the sort of they're not out and about as much as they would have been. They've got.
But Joe mentioned the weather as well, didn't he? He said it's just very similar to Germany, which is obviously very true.
They've got their own little lives now, and they don't tend to go out into the population as much as players would have in the past.
They
but do you
exist
not
in
think,
a rarefied atmosphere?
Exactly.
You're absolutely right. But do you not think, like he's mentioned in his column there, it's more the fact that he's been able to go and explore the northeast or around Northumberland. Yeah. You don't get that option when you go to a city, because obviously if you're a well-known player, you're bombarded with fans wanting autographs and God knows what. At least now we can go and have a wonder in the beautiful countryside of Northumberland, literally without hassle. So I think that's a positive, if I'm honest with you. Somebody's just been saying,
you'd be surprised that, because even if you go to Northumberland, they're all Newcastle fans. They
are, yeah. But there's a lot of rural places.
Now, I'll be honest, if I was to bump into Chow right now, and I wouldn't necessarily know, I don't know his face that well to be able to spot him, 100 yards away, which you could do with a lot of players.
But you say that when I bopped, seen Dan Burn the other day in Aldi as I was doing my shopping, and I just walked straight past him. Didn't say a word to him.
Oh, well, I couldn't do that.
Even
it was just.
Sorry, it wasn't Aldi. It was Asda. Sorry, but no, you just sort of let people get on.
Yeah.
A few days ago, I was in the back page, and they told me Toon Army walked in with his lass, and we bought some stuff, and he bought his own scarf and T-shirt from the back page, and he loved it, and they got photos of him and stuff. And
fabulous.
I think it depends on the player himself.
Yeah.
Some players,
I agree with you. I think some people just take it in the stride. And like I say, others are tempted away. We knew João Pedro was going to be a push because, he'd been in and around the capital for years.
And it depends on the partner as well.
Well, that was the big thing, because obviously she wanted to stay within the capital. She didn't want to come out of the capital, and he didn't see the journey coming up and down the A1 and the M1 being a very nice challenge. I've just seen on here, Irish Assassins made a good point, actually. We were talking about Vlack earlier. Obviously, if he goes for a lower fee, would it be inclined to get a player in return, Romero or Adams? I mean, two decent players. Well, would you think that there would have been a player exchange for cash?
Yeah, why not? It depends if Eddie needs them or not.
But the other thing is, it's okay. I mean, we know Vlad is never going to be in the Newcastle squad. I mean, bless him, he's only had a half. Was it against Hull?
No, I don't think so.
He was half a match against Hull, wasn't it? Yeah, pre-season.
Pre-season,
yeah.
Did nothing wrong.
No, he had a good game, actually. He had a good half. And like I said, he seems to be, hitting the ground running.
Just let him continue, let them pay his wages or whatever.
But that's
half his wages.
Half his wages, isn't it? Crazy. Did you know that Hendrick and Richie were both on £66 million a year when they were on a contract? And you know how many games they actually played?
Now, 6 million is 110,000 a week.
And Hendrick could have been. I
don't think.
I was reading it. I was absolutely gobsmacked.
Maybe together.
Maybe 6 million over the term of that contract.
Where is it?
Wasn't he a free signing?
No,
wasn't he signing free? Would that explain?
He was.
Well, that could explain some of it, of course.
This was written in the mag, and bear with me 2 seconds, because I was gobsmacked. Sorry, it was 3 million. 60,000 a week. I apologise.
Oh, 60,000.
Yeah.
So it's 3 million a year,
that's what-
£60,000 a week, and they only ever made 31 appearances between the two of them. Jeff Hendrick had 18 appearances, Ryan Fraser 13 for 60,000 a week. And you talk about robbing, a living. That to me is absolutely crazy. But that's Ashley era for you. He saw them on a
Target was
free.
on 100 though.
Yeah, absolutely. But Target did obviously do a
did the
job
first
for
season.
us. Yeah, in the first season.
Yeah.
And I think he was signed on because of that. And unfortunately, he's gone backwards rather than
Well, he got injured,
step forward.
you know.
Well, he did absolutely. But I think it's also levels. We've said, haven't we? You've seen him in the championship.
Well, he
at the
got
Borough,
injured, and
he's
Dan
doing well.
burned it so well when he came in that when he was fit again, he couldn't get back in.
Yeah, and then obviously you've got Lewis Hall coming in, and he's just gone further down the pecking order, hasn't he? Right then, gentlemen, that is it. Like I say, thank you so much for Win, Tim. Sorry for keeping you guys awake, and everybody in the chat with us. Thank you all for coming on board. It's lovely to
Smash the
see
legs,
Roy
folks.
back, and obviously we've got our local hero from the Mackham Slayer, Boki. We've also got, like I say, we're going to do a similar thing, but we're going to do the post takeover of the players, the best 5 players that we've got, which is going to be hard to pick just 5, if I'm honest with you, and the 5 worst players that we've bought pre-takeover tomorrow.
That's going to be harder.
Well, it probably is.
Pre-takeover, post-takeover.
Sorry, post-takeover.
It'll not be for Gary because he'll probably cheat like he did the night and name a full team so he could get extra players
Them all
from.
in.
Yeah.
Biddly bosh.
Are we going to mention the rat?
Well, you can. I mean, obviously he was bought post takeover, so yes, you can. So yeah, come on board tomorrow midday and have your say and join us again. We've got a couple of super chats coming in. We're going to say thank you to Corey D, and we've got the Mighty Panty Dropper official fan club. Thank you so much, as always. And again, apologies to everybody that's been involved in the chat. There's been so much, but we realised, by putting so many on there, we will not get tonight's show over and done with.
Well, there's one there mentioning a name that I haven't heard before. Martin Bland, and this is Izake from Brazil that I've just had a look at. He's actually 18 years old, and he's currently playing for Shakhtar Donetsk. 3 games, 2 goals. Attacking mid, so I'll be having a deep dive into him, and we'll maybe mention that tomorrow.
Yeah. There has been literally in the last hour, people were talking about Antoine Semenyo. In the last hour, I was just having a quick look at this while you guys were having a chat. Team Talk, again, not a reputable place, but reports that Semenyo's contract has been extended until 2030, which gives the Cherries immense leverage. The extension come after rebuffed approaches from Newcastle and Arsenal last summer, and Newcastle are still holding an interest in him. I think that's absolute BS, if I'm honest.
I would sell Gordon and get him in.
Listen,
I would have Semenyo tomorrow.
Yeah,
I
think
agree.
Semenyo would cost 120 at least.
Well, the way he started this season, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way it looks for me,
even last season as well.
But we do need to offload Gordon now. I mean, I know there's been a lot of criticism towards Gordon, but I do think a lot of it's been brought on by himself, if I'm honest with you, because he just hasn't hit the ground running at all in the last 2 seasons. And he started, like I said, he's had one really great season. And I think, you talk about expectations. He just hasn't given anybody anything at all to work off. You look at his XG, it's awful. It's less than 1. And for a winger who's played a striker role, that's not good at all.
That's wingers are judged on assists and goals.
Absolutely.
End of.
Right then. So somebody's saying I'll drive him there, Michael. Yeah, I think a lot of people would at the minute. Anyway, don't forget as well tomorrow we've got the watch along, the England Wales friendly. We'll be doing tomorrow evening. Whit'll have his England hat on. We won't be flying any flags, though, I would imagine.
We'll
apart
be
from
flying
here.
flags.
Apart from here. Anyway, thank you one and all from over there for joining us tonight. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Thank you, everybody that's watched.
Down
Yeah.
there.
Until the next one. Oh, and well done to the boys today. Superb hat-trick from Neve, the first half hat-trick. I'll tell you who really shone. The lad on the left-hand side from Korea, Stu Park, looked absolutely spot on today. Munda looked solid in the midfield. Pivas looked really good at the back. And obviously Sean Neve getting his hat-trick, first half hat-trick. And he could have got an absolute beauty if the had been another yard under the bar, he would have chipped the keeper from 35 yards. So, yeah, very, very good display from the lads at Boston tonight. So, well done, you all. Until the next one.
How are the lads?
Lads.
Lassies and bairns. Take care, all.
Hoof the twat.
Who said